Hello everyone, I hope you're all doing well. Today the subject of my lecture is the use of possessives, personal and reflexive pronouns. First of all, let's have a look at my, mine, I, myself, etc. and all other possessive adjectives and possessive pronouns, of course. Here we have a list of the possessive adjectives on the left hand side, and on the right side we have the list of possessive pronouns. My, mine, you are, yours, his, her, its, and his, her, etc. So there is nothing difficult in the list. You can very clearly see the list over here. Then note that no apostrophes are used here. Students should guard against the common mistake of writing the possessive its with an apostrophe. Right? Students actually very often commit a mistake in writing its. All right. When you write its with an apostrophe, it does mean it is. All right. With an apostrophe, it does mean it is, and without an apostrophe it is its, and simply it is a possessive adjective. All right. Then we have thy and thine. In the old English we used to write thy and thine for the second person singular. All right. You can still find these sort of thy and thine words in bibles, in the texts which were produced before 20th century. All right. And thy and thine does mean you are, you and you are, etc. One's is the possessive adjective of the pronoun one. There is also a pronoun. One is a pronoun, and possessive adjective of one is ones. All right. You can add ones in this list, in this list, which is there on the left hand side of the page. Next is agreement and use of possessive adjective. Possessive adjectives in English refer to the possessor and not to the thing possessed. Possessive adjectives always refer to the possessor, not the thing which is possessed. Everything that a man or boy possesses is his thing. Of course, his is used for a man or a boy or a male. Everything that a woman or a girl possesses is her thing. Tom's father is his father, but Mary's father is her father. All right, you use his for male and her for female. Everything that an animal or thing possesses is its thing. All right, so you use it or its for things or animals, for babies, for the things which and for the living things. Okay, for the living things which whose sex is not clear, whose sex we don't know. Here you use its for things. For example, a tree drops its leaves in autumn. All right, its leaves. So this its refer to a tree. Here in the next slide, a happy dog wags its tail. You are using its for a happy dog here. But if the sex of the animal is known, his or her would often be used. Yes, if you know the sex of the animal, you will of course use her or his for that animal. If there is no more than one possessor, there is used. Sorry, if there is more than one possessor, of course you will use there. All right. For singular male, you will use his. For singular female, you will use her. Whereas for the plural possessor, you will use their. For example, the girls are with their brother. The trees drop their leaves. There you are using their here because trees are in the plural form. Note that the possessive adjective remains the same whether the thing possessed is singular or plural. So this possessive adjective will remain the same. My whether it is a singular glove, it doesn't matter whether the glove is singular or plural. The possessive adjective here in this case it is my, so it will remain the same. My glove and my gloves, his foot and his feet. Possessive adjective are used with clothes and parts of the body. Of course, you can use with the clothes and parts of body as well. She changed her shoes. He injured his back, etc. You can find more examples as well. To add emphasis, on can be placed after my, your, his, etc. and after one's. So if you want to put an emphasis, add an emphasis in these cases by using You can add an emphasis by using own after these possessive adjectives. For example, you can say my room, but you can also say my own room. When you say your my own room, you are adding emphasis over the possession. You are showing that it's your room, it only belongs to you only. All right. um, it her own idea, it does mean this is her idea, this is only her idea. All right. So own can be an adjective as above or a pronoun. Of course, as above, own can be adjective, it can also be a pronoun. It will be adjective when it will modify a noun or pronoun, and it will be pronoun when it will be used instead of a noun. And here, a room of one's own. So one's is, as I have already told you in the first slide and here as well, this one's is a possessive adjective. A room of one's own, here one's is a possessive adjective. All right. It shows my room, one's own room. All right. A room of one's own. Note the expression, I'm on my own. It does mean I am alone. When you say I am on my own, it does mean you do not have any help from any other person. You are alone. Possessive pronouns replacing possessive adjectives plus nouns. So possessive pronouns sometimes replace possessive adjectives plus nouns as well. For example, this is our room can be replaced with this room is ours. Here, ours is possessive pronouns. Whenever you are using, whenever you want to use possessive pronouns, you normally use possessive pronouns at the end of the sentences. All right, you move the possessive pronoun to the end of the sentences. Here, you are using our as possessive adjective. All right, so this is our room, but here this room is ours. His ours is possessive pronouns, and you are moving, shifting this possessive pronoun to the end of the sentence. This is their cat. There is possessive adjective here. That cat is theirs too. So this theirs here is possessive pronoun. You have got my pen. My is possessive adjective. You are using mine. So this mine is possessive pronoun. What? Where is yours? All right. Again, this is pronoun. Possessive pronouns. The expression of mine. Know that if you use yours without apostrophe, that is possessive adjective. All right. And this yours with apostrophe is possessive pronoun. The expression of mine, etc., means one of my, etc. For example, a friend of mine, it does mean one of my friends. A sister of hers is does mean one of her sisters. This mine and hers are possessive pronouns. This my and her are possessive adjectives here. Next is personal pronouns and their forms, first of all. So these are the forms of personal pronouns. And first of all, we discussed possessive pronouns and adjectives. Now we are shifting our attentions towards personal pronoun in this slide. Singular and plural. First person, second person, third person. First of all, subject and first of all, we will see first, second, and third person, then subject and object form of these personal pronouns. First person is I and its objective form is me. Second is you and objective form is you. Third person he, she, it, and is and their objective forms are they are used as object in this way, that is him, her, it, etc. And plural first person is we and object form is us and this and this. The old form of the second person singular is thou and thee. In the old English, we used to write thou as subject for the second person and thee as an object for the second person. For example, you can say you. In today's English, in the modern English, we write for the second person, but in old English, we used to write this thou and thee. Use of subject and object forms. You and it present no difficulty as they have the same form for subject and object. So this you and it, you can say they have the same form for subject and object. For example, did you see the snake? Yes, I saw it and it saw me. So I saw it and it saw me. Here I saw it. Here it this it is object and this it is subject. And it saw me. Here it is subject and I saw it. Here it is object. So but both forms are the same. It has same shape as in for subject and object as well. Whereas All other pronouns do not have the same shame. It and you have the same shame, right? Here subject is I, but object is me. Here he is subject, but him is object. But in the case of I and you, they will remain the same. did did I frighten you? It should be like, did it frighten you, right? It's a mistake. Did it frighten you? Here you can see that it will remain in the same form. You also has the same form for subject and object as well. Second is first and third person forms other than it. I, he, she, we, they can be subjects of a verb. For example, I see it, he knows you, they live here, etc. Are complements of the verb to be. You can say it is I. So it's it I these I, he, she, etc. can be subject of the verb of a verb, are complements of the verb as well, of the words to be. For example, it is I. So here I is complement. It completes a sentence. It is a complement of be is verb be. Be does mean whenever you see is be verb, it does mean is, am, are, or was, were, etc. All right. It is I. If you do not write I here, it does mean the sentence is not complete. So by using I, you are completing the sentence. You can say that when a word completes a sentence, it becomes a complement, because complement is such a word which completes a sentence or a sentence in a sentence. Normally, however, we use the object forms here. Who is it? Normally, you use the object form here. Of course, it is me. You normally say like this, but here you can also use it like you can also use the subject form as well. Who is it? It's me. Where is Tom? That's him over there. All right, me and him are object form for I and he. But if the pronoun is followed by a clause, we use the subject forms. Yes, if pronoun is followed by a clause, we use the subject form. For example, blame Bill. Blame Bill. It was he who chose this color. It was he who chose this color. So here you are introducing, here you are saying that, here you can see that pronoun is being followed by a class. For example, he who chose this color. You can see a class here. So you use the subject form he here, not him. It was him who chose this color is not better than it was he who chose the color, right? You should use it was he who chose the color, this color, because you can see the class being followed by a pronoun here. Me, him, her, us, them can be direct objects of a verb. So they can be direct objects of verb as well. For example, I saw her. Tom likes them. So are indirect objects. What is direct and indirect object? This is another topic, but in short, let me touch upon it. Direct object directly receives the action. If you want to find a direct object, so you can see that you can ask a question of what after verb, right? So if you want to see which is direct object in the sentence, ask what after the verb. So here, this saw is verb. You put a question here. I saw what? I saw her. All right. When you say I saw what, the answer is I saw her. So answer will be the direct object. So same as the case here. Tom likes them. So put what after likes. Tom likes what? The answer is them. Tom likes them. So this them is direct object, and the other one will be indirect object if there are two objects in a sentence and ask what after the verb. If the answer will be direct object and the other object will be indirect object, right? Bill found me a job. So here found what? A job. So a job is direct object here and me is indirect object here. And gave him a book. So gave what? The answer is a book. So a book is direct object here and him is indirect object. So direct object and indirect object can be used in a sentence like this. In the next slides, we are extending the use of these possessive and personal and reflexive pronouns here. Is that Tom over there? No, it's Peter. Sorry, I skipped a slide. And this is the next slide. In the next slide, we will have a look at the position of pronoun objects. An indirect object comes before a direct object. For example, I made an or her a cake. I sent Bill the photos. All right, here you are putting indirect objects before a direct object. But you now you know that what is direct and what is indirect object because I have already told you in the previous slide. However, if the direct object is a personal pronoun, it is more usual to place it directly after the verb and use to or for. So, if the direct object is a personal pronoun, right? If it is a personal pronoun, you can straight away use it or write it directly after the verb and use to or for. Okay? For example, for her. I made it for her. I sent them to him. So you already know what are the personal pronouns. Here you can see the personal pronoun I, me, you, we, etc. and subject and object form of personal pronouns. So this I made it for her. So this it is personal pronoun and you straight away put it after verb made it. Otherwise you normally use indirect object before a direct object. All right. You use indirect object first, then you use direct object afterwards. All right. But here in case of personal pronoun as a direct object, you will use personal pronoun first and then indirect object second. The position rule does not apply to one, some, any, none, etc. So this position rule does not apply to these words, etc. For example, he bought one for Anne, and he bought Anne one. You can use it both ways. He gave something to Jack, or he gave Jack something. You can use in both ways. Pronoun objects are phrasal verbs. With many phrasal verbs, a noun object can be either in the middle or the end. For example, hand your papers in, hand in your papers. You can use it both ways. Hand your coat up, hang your coat, hang up your coat. Take your shoes off, take off your shoes. But a pronoun object, however, uh, must be placed in the middle. All right. So here there's a little mistake in the typing. Uh, this this is not rouse, this is actually must, all right. However, pronoun object must be placed in the middle. If you are using pronoun object, you must use it in the middle of these phrasal verbs. Hand them in, hand them in, hang it up, take them off, all right. You should not use it like hand, hand in them, hang, hang up it, all right. This would be wrong, and this is the correct way to write, uh, to put pronoun object in the middle of the phrasal verbs. Uses of it. Use number one. Use number A. It is normally used of a thing or an animal whose sex we don't know, and sometimes of a baby, a small child. All right, you normally use it for these objects, for these things. Where is my map? I left it on the table. Here you are using it for a thing. Look at that bird. It always comes to my window. Here you are using it for the bird. Her new baby is tiny. You can say here you are using it for this new baby. It only weighs 2 kilos. So it can be used for people in sentences such as and on phone. Who is that? When you ask someone on phone, who is that? Who is it? All right. The answer would be like it's me, etc. In the next slide, we are again discussing the uses of it. You can see some uses of it over here as well. It is used in expression of time, distance, weather, temperature, tide, etc. These are the uses for time, distance, weather, etc. All right. You can also use it as you can use it as introduction as introductory it as well. For example, it can introduce sentences of the following type, cap sentences. It was Peter who lent us the money. It is today that he is going. All right, this is introductory it. It is used even with a plural noun. It is pilots that we need. All right, it is pilots that we need, not the ground staff. This is wit, but actually the real word is not the ground staff. All right, it is pilots that we need, not the ground staff. So it can be used with the plural nouns as well. When infinitive is subject of a sentence, we usually begin the sentence with it and put the infinitive later. That is, in what is infinitive when we use to plus base form of the verb, and sometimes of course you can use infinitive without to as well, and those are called bare infinitives, which we have already discussed in the class as well. It is easy to criticize instead of to criticize is easy. All right, you can use it is easy to criticize instead of this thing. To criticize is easy. Instead of writing this way, you can write it is easy to criticize. It is better to be early. Uh, instead of writing to be early is better, you can write it is better to be early. To give up now seems a pity. If if it by be is preceded by find, think that, then be and the that can often be omitted. So if it plus be is preceded by find and think and that. So if there is find or think and that before it, you can replace it. You can omit those things. All right, by using it afterward. For example, he thought that. So here you are writing thought and that. So if think and that or find and that are being used before it, you can remove them as well. He thought that it would be better to say nothing. So instead of writing the sentence like this, you should write like this way, in this way. We found it impossible to get visas. All right, so you need not use found. We found that it would be impossible to get visa, blah blah blah. All right, so instead of writing that way, you should shorten the sentences. It can be used similarly when the subject of a sentence is a class. It was possible to say that he hasn't found is odd, that prices will go up a certain. So instead of writing this way, you should write this way. It is odd that he hasn't found. It is certain that the prices will go up, etc. Other examples, it never occurred to me that perhaps he was lying. It struck me that everyone was unusually silent. It or this can represent a previously mentioned phrase, clause, or a verb. For example, he smokes in bed, though I don't like it. So it here shows smoking in bed, right? Here again, you see the next example, and then it can also be used with impersonal verbs like it seems, it appears, it looks, it happens, etc. You, one, and they as indefinite pronouns. So you, one, and they can be indefinite pronouns as well. As subjects, either can be used. Can you, can one camp in the forest? As objects, you is the normal pronoun. They fine you for parking offenses. All right. This is a spelling mistake here. Here it is fine. All right. They find you. They charge you. Does mean charge you. They find you for parking offenses. You is more common in ordinary conversation. It is more friendly pronoun and implies that the speaker can imagine himself in such a position. All right. So you is a friendly pronoun. So here it shows that the speaker himself is imagining himself or herself in such a position. One is more impersonal, all right, and less often used. You is more personal and more friendly, and one is more impersonal and less often used. Though the possessive ones is quite common. It is easy to lose one's way in Venus. It is easy to lose your way in Venus. All right, so both can be used. If you are using your, it is friendly, it is more personal thing, whereas one is less personal, it's impersonal. And of course, ones can be used. The corrective possessive must be used like one has to show one's pass at the door. All right. You have to show your pass at the door. So both can be used. So you have to show your pass at the door is of course more usual. If instead of one and you we use a singular noun, the possessive adjective will obviously be his or her. One must do one's best. A traveler has to guard his possessions. So for one, you of course you will use one's as a possessive adjective, and for he, she, it, etc., you will use his or her, etc. Here, they is used as subject only. They can mean people. They say does mean people say, or you can say it is sad, etc. They say if it is going to be a cold winter. They can also mean the authority concerned, that the government, etc. Here in this example, you can find it like that. Use of they, them, there with neither, either, someone, some, everyone, no one, etc. You can use they, etc. with these construction as well. You can find them over here in these examples. Reflexive pronouns. So what are reflexive pronouns? So this is the list of the reflexive pronoun. So it they tell us about the person being mentioned, already mentioned. All right. And the and it add more emphasis to the things, to the pronouns. And we will see some uses of reflexive pronoun over here. Note the difference between the yourself and yourself. Yourself is the reflexive pronoun for you, and yourself is used for the singular, and yourselves are used for the second person plural pronoun. Myself and yourself, etc., are used as objects of a verb when the action of the verb returns to the doer. All right. So they are used as objects of a verb, but the action of the verb returns to the doer when subject and object are the same person. For example, I cut myself. Here, subject here myself refers, here myself actually returns to the doer of the action, that is I over here. I cut myself. It myself shows about I. It shows that it is I who cut myself. I cannot shave he cannot shave himself. So himself refers back to he, all right, the doer of the action. So here subject and object are the same person. So he subject, this is subject and object, they both are the same person. This and this are the same person. It is not always easy to amuse oneself on holiday. All right. Tom and Anne blame themselves. So this themselves refer back to Tom and Anne both. This refrigerator defrosts itself. So this itself refers back to this refrigerator. All right. Note the change of the meaning if we replace the reflexive pronoun by the reciprocal pronoun each other. Let's note the change in the meaning when we replace the reflexive pronoun by the reciprocal pronoun. For example, Tom and Anne blamed each other. Tom, it does mean Tom blamed Anne and Anne blamed Tom. All right. So instead of using Tom and Anne blamed themselves, etc., you can write it like each other. Each other is reciprocal pronoun. Myself, yourself, etc. are used similarly after a verb plus preposition. You can also use myself, yourself, etc. after verb plus preposition. For example, he spoke to, this spoke is verb and this is preposition. He spoke to himself. Did she pray for herself? Take care of yourself, he said by himself. I'm a knight with myself. Look after yourself. She addressed the envelope to herself, etc. But if the preposition indicates locality, we use the ordinary, not the reflexive pronouns. So yes, if this preposition indicates locality, some place, so we use the ordinary, not the reflexive pronouns. So these are reflexive pronouns after preposition. But if the preposition indicates locality, we will not use the reflexive pronoun, but the ordinary pronoun. For example, did you take your dog with you? So here you are not using reflexive pronoun after preposition. Why? Because this preposition shows locality, some position, some place. All right. They put the child between them. You are not using themselves. Why? Because here between shows the locality. Where did they put the child? They put the child between them. It shows locality. So you will not use themselves after it. They put the child between them. Simple pronoun should be used. Simple personal pronoun. Had he or did he have any money on him? So again, on him, on here shows the locality. So will not use himself. You will use a simple personal pronoun here. In the next slide, we have some more examples on reflexive pronouns. Myself, himself, herself, etc. use an emphasizing pronoun. For example, myself, etc. can also be used to emphasize a noun or pronoun. For example, the king himself gave her the medal. So here himself emphasize our noun, that is the king in this case. Self is then stressed in speech. So when you speak it like this, you put a stress over self. When used in this way, the pronoun is never essential and can be omitted without changing the sense. It usually emphasizes the subject of the sentence and is placed after it. Anne herself opened the door. Tom himself went. So they emphasize the noun or pronoun which have been used before them. So here in such cases, you can also remove pronouns. All right, pronouns are not always necessary to use after them, to be used after them. So they can be written like this: and herself opened the door, and opened the door herself. It can be used both ways, in both ways, right? Or it, and this sentence can be used like this: Tom went himself. If the intransitive verb is followed by a preposition plus noun, the emphasizing pronoun can be placed after this noun. So, of course, if the intransitive verb cannot be changed into passive voice, right? They do not have direct object to receive their action, to receive the action. Tom went to London. This went is intransitive pronoun. So, if the verb is followed by preposition plus noun, so this intransitive verb is followed by preposition this plus noun this. All right. What happens then? The emphasizing pronoun can be placed after this noun. So this emphasizing pronoun, this is emphasizing pronoun. So this can be used after them. If the transitive verb is used, then a preposition, then a noun. So you can use the reflexive pronoun or the emphasizing pronoun after them. For example, Tom went to London himself. Or you can also say it like this: Tom himself went to London. When it emphasizes another noun, it is placed immediately after it. So of course, if if emphasizes another noun in a sentence, it will place immediately after it, after that noun. For example, here I saw Tom himself. So here it emphasized Tom. All right. I spoke to the president himself. So it himself here emphasize the president. It does mean that I spoke to the president himself. It does mean I directly spoke to him. She liked the diamond itself. So itself here emphasize diamond, but not the setting. Note the differences between. If you say I did it myself, it does mean it was done by me, not by someone else. And when you say it, I did it by myself, it does mean I did it without any help. Thank you so much for watching the lecture. If you have any question, please do ask me in the comment below. Thank you so much.